Welcome back, everyone, to episode 10 of Bachelor Mondays with your Steinbach Pistons. Emotional week for us here. Last one ever. This is the finale. The Bachelor's over. This is the last show we're ever going to be filming. It's kind of emotional for me and some of the guys around the house, and hopefully we can get through this. So, Tanner, what do you got to say about this being the last episode? We'll touch on it at the end, but what are you thinking coming into this episode here?
It's been a great ride. Memories that will definitely last for the rest of 2019. Not sure about much longer because...
Yeah, I understand that.
But, it was fun and the season was very good. And I really enjoyed watching it up until the end.
Okay, Tanner, we're going to get into the actual contents of the show here before we sign off. First thing I want to ask you, two-part episode this week. There was an episode on Monday and Tuesday. Okay, so now let's kind of get into the meat of the episodes this week. We had two episodes, Monday and Tuesday. Monday night's episode, they kind of showed Colton breaking up with Tayshia and Hannah because he had to go after Cassie, the one he loves, had to go after. But let's talk about the first episode here. He breaks up with Tayshia and Hannah, and that was kind of emotional for me and you, as Hannah was our favorite. And Tayshia kind of had to comfort him while he was breaking up. But what were you thinking during those breakups?
I was trying to contain my subtle laughter when we heard a little bit of crying, and then all of a sudden we hear Tayshia's voice say, "No, it's okay, it'll be okay." And this.
So you thought it was Tayshia crying at first?
I did, and it was a pleasant surprise to see Colton do that, because I probably would have been crying myself to see Hannah G get kicked off. I know we're talking about Tayshia, but it was emotional to see. And Hannah G she was so happy. She was writing in a journal. Life was good, and then all of a sudden, Colton had to waltz in there and flip her life upside down like a complete jerk.
How do you think Colton handled those breakups? Do you think he went about it the right way?
Yeah, he did the right thing. He followed his heart, and that's all you can ask for in a guy. I mean, I haven't broken up with two girls in one day, personally. But if I had to, I'd probably try to be a nice guy about it, and hope they didn't find out.
I'm glad that you... have you ever had two girlfriends at the same time, Tanner?
I have troubles having one girlfriend at one time, so no.
Okay, that's fair. So that kind of concludes the first episode on Monday. Now Tuesday was after the final rose. They showed Colton kind of going after Cassie now. He goes to, I think they were still in Portugal, goes to her hotel room and goes after her, tries to get a second chance. He ends up getting a second chance. Cassie goes to Spain to meet Colton's family. How do you think that went down?
It's this whirlwind of emotions. I noticed that Mr. Randolph happened to not be there at the time. Guess he was scared. But, he went all out, and she kind of gave him a chance. She didn't have any expectations. He had a bucket full of expectations, and I just feel really bad for her when she had to go to the parent and meet all the family, and he just kind of left her alone to go talk to his mom. That would have been awkward. I'm not good with first talking to people right off the bat, so I would have been sitting there. But I hope she did well. It seems like all went well. She's still together, and they seem happy.
So now we find out Colton and Cassie are together. They've been together going on these secret trips since the end of the filming. They're in love. They're just dating. They're not married, anything, but they're in love and they're doing well. So how do you see their future playing out, and how do you see the upcoming weeks and months and years for Colton and Cassie? You think they're going to stay together?
No, I hope not. No.
Why?
That's mean. I take that back. I'm sorry. I know.
Who are you apologizing to, Tanner? Because I hope they end in absolute shambles.
I hope so too, but I know Colton and Cassie both watch this show, and I don't want them to see me speaking poorly about them, because I don't want them to speak poorly about me, which is fair, but I hope they break up.
That's fair. I didn't realize Colton and Cassie watched the show, but it's news to me. Like I said, I hope they end in absolute shambles. I hope they light stuff on fire. I hope things are thrown. I hope it's just absolutely intense. But that's all we got for the episode. That's all for the actual Bachelor part we can talk about. But now let's chat a little bit about, it's been 2 years, Tanner. This is the last Bachelor Mondays we'll ever be filming. Kind of tough, kind of sad because, won't be here next year. Won't ever get to sit in this spot with you ever again and talk about one of our favorite shows. How's it hitting you?
Well, for me personally, it's only been really 1 year. You kind of kicked me off after an episode or two last year.
Yeah, you kind of sucked, but you got better.
Complaining about my lack of humor and lack of conversation flowability. But
yeah, like I said, you've gotten better, Tanner, and that's why you're here this year.
I just worked hard in the summer and came prepared for this, but
the off season.
It's going to be different next year, not having to speak my mind about it as much, and I'll just have to focus and keep it all inside of me. And then if somebody on the street asks me, hey, did you see The Bachelor? I'll just all pour out of me.
You'll just let it out, just like tears, just mudslide.
No, not a mudslide. More like a waterfall, majestic waterfall.
Okay, well, Tanner, obviously it's been great having you on here. Is there anything you want to say to close out this is your last moment on Bachelor Mondays with the Steinbach Pistons? Is there anything you want to say to close this out? Tell the fans, tell me, what do you want to end this with?
I got you a little something. It's nothing too much, but...
Okay. He's pulling something out of his pocket, guys. It's a piece of paper. Okay, let's show this. Let's show this to the camera here first. I don't know if that's backwards or not. Okay, guys, it says, to Benny. And in a heart, it says, thank you for filming us. I'm going to open it up now, guys. Very well done card, by the way. It says, Tanner Heart. So there's a big heart after he uses the explicit word, but hey, I appreciate that a lot. You start off the show, and I guarantee none of those guys over there are going to get me a note. So, this is more than I could have ever asked for, and
I hope you keep it.
I'm keeping this.
For at least a couple days.
Oh, I'm keeping it forever. I'm going to pull it out every year during The Bachelor, and I'm going to look at it and say, I miss those days. And then I'm going to open it up and just read that message you gave me. And
back when you were filming us on the couch. Yeah, the
nostalgic couch here. Well, Tanner, this is the last official handshake. It's been real, man. It's been fun, but it's been a blast having you on. Anything else you want to add?
I don't want to say anything before I get too emotional.
We'll see you never on this couch again, Tanner. See you later.
Bye.
All right, Declan, nice to have you back here for episode 10. Last ever episode, kind of emotional. Just talked about Tanner with it a little bit, We'll get into that at the end, but it's tough. There's not much I can really say, but it's tough. Is there anything you want to prelude the questions to here?
It's been an honor, and when one door closes, another one opens, and sometimes when you reach a dead end, you just got to start creating your own path, and I'm excited for all of us to venture off into the world, into other directions.
Let's slap that on a wallpaper right here. Okay. Let's get into the content now, the actual Bachelor show itself. 2 episodes this week. Episode 1, we had Colton breaking up with Tayshia and Hannah. Tough go, kind of. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. If he loves Cassie, you got to go for her, right? So that's what he does. He goes and he shows his love for Cassie by breaking up with the other girls. He wants to show her other than tell her. How do you think episode 1 went with the breakups between Tayshia and Hannah?
It was hard for both of them in both situations. Like Colton and Tayshia, it was hard for both of them, and then hard for Colton and Hannah G. But Colton did most of the crying, and he was breaking up with them, so that was somewhat amusing. But it was obviously hard for both Tayshia and Hannah G. They're both very invested into Colton, and their worst nightmares came true. Besides, like, I don't know, like a huge spider or something.
Huge spider, roller coaster accident, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's got to be tough for Colton though, right? Dating 30 girls and then he just loses them all. I'd be crying too if I like couldn't date 3 girls at the same time. Like, that's a tough life for Colton to live, right?
Yeah, it's so tough. 30 girls at one time sounds terrible. But yeah, he kind of shot himself in the foot a little bit when he had 0 girls. That was pretty funny.
So that kind of concluded the first episode. We see him going to Cassie's at the beginning of episode 2. He kind of went to, they're still in Portugal. He went to Cassie's hotel room, kind of said, hey, I want a second chance. She said, okay. They talked about it a little bit, kind of discussed what they wanted going on. And then he took he took her to Spain to meet the family. That went okay. What were you thinking about that?
Obviously, Cassie doesn't want to get married right now, and Colton just wants Cassie, so they're going to see how things go. I don't know if it was really a question of whether she liked Colton or loved Colton. I think it was more just her not being in a position where she's ready to be married. I think it went kind of well meeting the family. They were a little bit scared for Colton too, like if he only ended up with, no girls. So all in all right, and I guess it's gone okay from there as they're still together.
So they are together. We saw them after the final rose. They're in love. They're having a great time, macking on each other, all the good stuff. How do you see this relationship playing out in the future, couple weeks, months, years? How do you see it happening? Do you think they're going to stay together? What's going on?
I don't have too much confidence in it. I'd say it's probably a coin flip, like most relationships, 50-50. So, I mean, hopefully it works out well for both of them, whether they stay together or don't.
So when you go into relationships, you just flip a coin, 50-50? It's going to work or it's going to not?
Yeah, not on the first date, but eventually at some point you just got to flip a coin. So the divorce rate's 50, so there you go.
I guess that's one way to look at it. Anything you want to say to kind of close out the Bachelor content? It's been a great season. It's been eventful, obviously, something we haven't seen before. Anything you want to mention to that aspect of it?
Sorry, say that again. I zoned out.
Is there anything you want to mention to the just to the end of the Bachelor? Season's over. Good season. Anything you want to close it out? Anything you want to say?
The last few episodes were definitely anticlimactic. I think we can all agree that the real ending was when Colton jumped the fence. So it was a little bit of a different played out season. We don't see a proposal, but all in all, it was fairly enjoyable. Good season. And I thought Colton was one of the better Bachelors in recent history.
I thought he was pretty good too. I mean, this is only my second season, so I only have to compare him to Ari. And Ari was kind of a dud, but he did end up with Lauren B. So, lucky for that guy. Yeah, for sure. So that's all we got to talk about for the Bachelor. Now let's kind of mention this is the last filming. Last time me and you will be sitting here. It's kind of sad. It's hitting me in the feels a little bit. Won't be doing this anymore, and it's tough because I'm only 2 seasons in. And now we just got to cut it off. Like, I was hoping this could go on like for a decade, but the age out rule thing just doesn't allow that to happen. So yeah, maybe as like an intern or something, but I'll have to sneak over the border. We'll see. But you've been on here for 2 years. How have you enjoyed your time on this show?
It's been a lot of fun. Just want to thank you for doing this, and I have to give you something.
He has something too for me. He's got a note, it's like Tanner. Okay,
and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, though. We do appreciate you doing this and putting it all together. And I mean, we see you do the camera work, but there's a lot more that goes into it with filming. It's a lot of man hours, so we appreciate it.
I appreciate that very much, Deck. Is this good to read on camera here?
Yep.
Okay, so it says to Benny, obviously with the heart on front, just like Tanner. Little different setup, but kind of the same gist. Open it up here, and this says, "Thank you." And it looks like it was written with a.
That's my handwriting.
What hand or leg did you write this with?
My bad one.
It looks like, here, I'll try to show you guys.
Probably cut that.
You probably can't see. Yeah, I'll probably have to cut that. But yeah, this chicken scratch, absolutely doctor's writing. But it's good, and I appreciate the thank you. I didn't even get a thank you in Tanner's. It just said, you know what it said.
Yeah, I know what it said.
And I appreciate this deck, so thanks. I'm going to have to hold on to this one, too. Thanks, I appreciate it. And is there anything else you want to say about, kind of wrapping up? Is there any nostalgic memories you want to bring up about last year or this year? Anything you want to say?
None in particular, but I know the filming's always been a good time with, sometimes it's tough to get through it because the guys can't take things seriously.
This is true.
Usually, someone else, not me. But, scaring guys or whatever when they're on camera and whatnot. So, all in all, good fun.
It's been a blast. We've had a lot of guests on here. Brad Schoonbart, one of the worst. Tanner is on your Colonel's double repeat.
Was Tanner actually not on last year? That's what I was wondering.
He was on a couple episodes apparently, is what he told me, but apparently didn't get the whole contract.
That's funny.
It was Mark Wilson.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Tanner was kind of a fill-in. So tough bounce for him. But Deck, obviously thanks for being on here. 2 years running. It's been a blast with you. It's been great, and I appreciate all the support.
Hands are sweaty.
And holy crap, it looks like you just dipped your
They're
hand in a
clammy.
bowl
I
of
get
sweat.
nervous.
But that's all right.
Look
okay.
at that.
Oh gosh.
Will they see it? I
Probably
don't know.
not. But
Man,
oh gosh.
I get nervous talking to cuties.
Yeah. Okay, well that's all we got, Deck. Thanks for coming on. Anything you want to say?
No, that's it. Thanks again.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Okay, Kurt, back here for the last episode. Nice crack. Back here for the last episode. Nostalgic, obviously, here in the old production house. You haven't had the privilege to be on 2 years in a row, but last year you kind of got gypped for some of the older guys. This year you're a main star guest. How's it been kind of being on the show this year?
Feels good. I like to express my opinions about The Bachelor.
Now, fans might be wondering, did you got something on your chin there? Did you have a recent injury or what happened?
Yeah, Tony from the Winnipeg Blues decided he was going to decapitate my chin. So I no longer have a piece of my chin.
At least you didn't get your whole chin. That'd be tough. You're missing a whole chin. But we do what we can here. So before we get into kind of wrapping out the end of the year, let's talk about The Bachelor. Cassie was your girl from the start, right? And you were always hashtag Team Cassie on your Snap stories. Rough to look at, but Cassie breaks up with him last week, and then this week she goes and Colton dumps Tayshia and Hannah. Does the goodbyes, says see you later, does the cries, and then he goes after Cassie. What were you thinking of Colton when he was breaking up with Tayshia and Hannah, and do you think he did that the right way?
Yeah, I think they got to make the show different every year, and Ari pulled the old card last year and ended up, I guess, proposing to the wrong girl. I mean, I don't really know how that's possible. Like, if you're just going to propose and then just go to the other one within like 3 weeks, you think you'd have your mind made up. And so this year they had to make it better, I think. And this year with all the drama with Colton jumping the fence and going back and getting Cassie after she leaves, and yeah, that was a big predicament there. But I mean, I guess he did it the right way, and Tayshia and Hannah G were upset, obviously, but it's not like they're totally mad at him. Kind of like Ari was. Ari was kind of, I guess,
A dweeb.
yeah, pretty disgusting there, what he did. But yeah, I think he did it as best as he could, and obviously he loved Cassie the best. I mean, I don't know who wouldn't. So, yeah.
Talking about Colton a little bit more, do you think how did you think he fared as the Bachelor? Do you think he did pretty well, or what are your thoughts on that?
I've only seen 2 Bachelor seasons, and he's probably top 3 Bachelor.
Top 3, only seen 2, so I guess he's probably bottom 2 for you too, because you've only seen 2.
Well, I would say top 3 out of the 26 seasons.
It's not a rough estimate, but that's good. I'd say he was pretty good. I've only seen 2 seasons as well, and I thought he fared pretty well. So it was good to see.
He's a stud. He's actually a stud football player.
Practice squad.
Yeah, getting shouted out by the Cowboys. I mean, not a big deal.
Please don't hit on this man too much on the show, please.
Why?
Okay, let's talk about episode 2 now. After the final rose, we see that Colton goes to Portugal, knocks on Cassie's hotel door and says, hey, I want a second chance. I don't care how we got to do this, how slow we got to take this, but I need a second chance. And she says, yeah. They talk about things, and then they go to Spain to meet Colton's family. What did you think of that date, I guess you could call it?
Yeah, for some reason she comes to the date and she's still confused, I guess. Colton basically told her everything she needed to know, that he got rid of the other girls and that he only wanted her, and she's still confused, so I don't know what the deal is there. She maybe just was like shocked that she actually had to take him back, or else she would wreck the show. So yeah, she takes him back, and then going on seeing the family there, and the dad and the mom obviously are probably not the best case scenario there, and she comes in and doesn't even know if she wants to marry him yet. So obviously that's a little frightening for the dad and the mom, and the dad seems to be pretty invested in Colton's love life and doesn't want him to be hurt again. So he was pretty protective, I guess, and just wanted to make sure that she was the right one for him. So yeah, it was kind of a little bit cringy at times, but she got through it, I guess.
Are you pretty proud that you guessed it would be Cassie from the beginning? You and Reese Gaber from our team last year?
Well, I didn't guess. I knew.
Okay, how'd you know? Do you have any, or did you just a hunch?
Educated guess.
All right, that's fair. I like that. I think looks probably played a part into that, but who knows?
Huge part. Played a huge part. Probably 100% of the guess.
Probably all of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk about the show's over. You know, no more episodes. Colton and Cassie are in love. They're together now. How do you see this relationship playing out in the coming weeks and months and years?
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. Like, I think for Colton, he's gonna take it as far as it will go, and obviously he wants to get married and wants to spend the rest of her life with her, but I just don't know about her. She's 23. The way the show is going, she still wants to go out and party and live the young life, and doesn't really want to settle down, is what she was kind of coming off as, and she didn't really know if she was ready to settle down with Colton. And I mean, like, I don't know if she's gonna find a better guy than Colton. He obviously is in love with her, and pretty good looking guy, and I'm sure he would take care of her. So but I don't know, I think it'll come down to her decision for sure, but I could see them getting married for sure, and then who knows what will happen after that. I don't know what the divorce rate is in the United States of America, but I'm going to say 63%, so they have a 47% chance.
I think your math's off a little bit there. I think it'd be a 37% chance, but that's all right.
47.
What's 13 colonies minus 56? Goddamn 47. Okay, well, yeah. You hit it on the nail. You hit the head. You hit the nail on the head, as they like to say, and
The nail head.
you hit the nail head. You hit the head nail. The head nail's nail head, and
With the nail gun.
oh, okay. Well, Kurt, you know, last filming The Bachelor, last time me and you were gonna sit in this spot and this spot, you know, hip to hip, knee to knee, thigh to thigh, shoulder to shoulder. It's tough. We're not going to be able to sit here anymore. You weren't on here as long as some of the other guests, but it's kind of sad that this has got to end. You know, it was a blast doing it, and I just want to kind of ask you anything you want to say to wrap out your experience here on Bachelor Mondays.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I know you the fans loved it. I don't know how many viewers we exactly had, but I'm sure it's big. I'm sure it's a massive number. So yeah, it was great showing our experience with you guys, and we're obviously huge Bachelor fans, and Benny does a lot of work putting it into the show. So yeah, it's much appreciated, and it was great to be on.
Kurt, one last thing I want to give you. You got one last sponsor. What's it going to be?
This week, we got Brisk. They make the iced tea, but you got to try this new lemonade. I don't know about new, but got the Brisk lemonade here. They reached out. They had us sponsor before with the regular iced tea, but this lemonade is just wow. You see the can design here. We got some alien heads.
Well, Kurt, thanks for gathering the sponsors for this year's show. We couldn't have done it without that, and I appreciate having you on the show. We'll go one last handshake, and then we'll have to sign off.
The sponsors are obviously a huge deal to the show, and they donate a lot of money, which helps us with our production methods. So obviously it's a pretty elaborate setup, and this equipment and how we publish and get our content out there doesn't pay for itself. So I have one thing for you, Benny.
Okay.
Usually they only give us one can. They usually only give us one can to test out. So this is huge. They came out, gave us 2, limited edition. So this is for you, Benny.
Oh my gosh. So the other 2, Deck and Tanner gave me a note, handmade note. Kurt actually pulls through with the sponsor, calls up the guy that runs this stuff, and
yeah, it wasn't
he
easy.
Gets me
wasn't easy, but I had to pull some strings, but got it done.
Absolutely incredible. The things these guys go through to just make this time on the show enjoyable is unbelievable, and I appreciate that very much, Kurt. We'll have one last handshake to end things out. Appreciate you coming on the show, and thanks again, man.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Colonel, last of the last here, you took the anchor from Deck. It's only fitting as you're the only 20-year-old to join me on the show this week, and I don't really know how to start this, so I'm pretty excited for you to anchor this out. It's been a long ride coming. Anything you want to say to kind of prelude the show here?
No, just thanks. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and just being around your presence, it's just been a dream come true.
So as most of you, I don't know if you guys know or not, but me and Colonel sit together side by side for most Mondays of the Bachelor show, unless one of us is gone or out of town or doing something else. So it's been a blast. It's going to be definitely a different change next year when, we're our separate ways, unless we somehow move in together, which I don't see coming true in the near future.
Yeah, unfortunately not. We may just have to stick to some text messages and some Snapchats and maybe even a FaceTime here to just display our emotions.
For sure. Okay, let's leave that stuff for the end of the episode now. Let's kind of talk about The Bachelor. Two-part episode this week. Episode 1 on Monday. Colton goes and he breaks up with Tayshia and Hannah just so he can chase after Cassie after she leaves him. They both handle it kind of well. Tayshia handles it better than Hannah G. Hannah G kind of seemed a little bit upset. How do you think Colton handled those breakups, and do you think that was the right way to go about it?
Yeah, I guess he had to do what he had to do there, and it was just kind of the way it was all going to work out. And I think the girls, they could probably see it coming. Colton knew who he wanted here the last few weeks. He just wasn't saying it, and I think they probably had an idea there on the outside looking in, but obviously it was disappointing for them to not get picked.
Absolutely, probably a nut stomper when he said that he's been in love with Cassie for a while before the fantasy suite dates and stuff like that. So that's kind of tough for the girls to hear. I don't know if Colton should have mentioned that, but I know you were a Nicole lover at the beginning of this season. Did your picks change throughout the season, or did they kind of stick with Nicole till she was kicked off, and then were you just kind of a loose cannon?
This was just an odd year for The Bachelor, to be very honest, and I started off with Nicole, just kind of looking for an outside girl, and then she kind of had a emotional lapse there one week and kind of left, and I didn't like her anymore, and then I kind of fell in love with Kaylin, and she really grabbed my heart, and then she had a short ending too, so just wasn't a real good season for my picks.
I think that's a sign that maybe this year you should have picked girls you wanted to get kicked off the show, started to like them.
Yeah, that might have to look into that for the future.
How did you think Colton's performance was as the Bachelor this year? I've only watched 2 seasons, but I know you've watched a couple more. Ari wasn't the best Bachelor. He did some things that were questionable, but I thought Colton was pretty good myself. What did you think of his performance this season?
He did a pretty good job. I thought he was a real person, unlike some of the other ones in the past. He kind of displayed what he wanted, and I think that he did everything to fall in love, and I think that he found that for himself. And I mean, good for him. You gotta respect that.
Okay, let's talk about the After the Final Rose episode now on Tuesday. Colton and Cassie. Colton goes to Portugal, knocks on Cassie's hotel door, and kind of says, "Hey, I want a second chance. I'm still in love with you. You're the one. I broke up with everyone else." They talk about it, talk over things, say, "Hey, let's go to Spain, meet my parents." What were you thinking of that date, I guess you could call it, and that experience in Spain and in Portugal?
Well, first off, I'd just like to thank The Bachelor for ruining the final. Making it a 2-night finale for absolutely no apparent reason. Extremely disappointing. The Bachelor, it's supposed to be a Monday night show, right? It's like Monday nights, that's the thing. What do? Put the finale on a Tuesday night. Are you kidding me? That's the best you can do?
So you're pretty fed up with that?
That was extremely disappointing. Just ruining the ending. I was just sickened to see what happened there. And I get you got to do what you got to do. But unfortunately, there's just got to be some proposals on the last night. Like, that's what everyone came to see. And we saw, knowing what was going to happen 2 weeks ago, it was actually just disappointing. Very disappointing.
And we didn't even we didn't even find out if Colton is still a virgin or not. He kind of jabbed at it at the After the Final Rose ceremony, but didn't even mention it. So that was kind of a bummer too.
Yeah, they just need to look in the mirror here for next year and really hope that they can pick up their socks, because I was disappointed with the finish this year.
So going in, Cassie and Colton are supposedly in love. They're having a great time. They've been doing these secret weekends for like 4 months now. How do you see this relationship playing out in the future? You think they're going to stay together? You think they're ending in shambles? What do you think is going to happen?
I think they break up by August. I think
that's a deadline.
That'll be about their shelf life, I think. I don't see Cassie just kind of flipped a switch and fell in love with him all of a sudden, and I don't really think that's real. She definitely likes to have fun still, and I think come the summertime here, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for her to go out, and I think she'll realize that she doesn't want to get married, so I don't see them being together that much longer.
I really like the shelf life term. It's almost like they're canned vegetables, and yeah. Do you think maybe they get married and then they get divorced, kind of like Curtis's divorce rate that he mentioned?
No, they won't even get to be that close. Not even. That's a guarantee.
So, we're ending out the season here. Your time and my time for the Pistons is kind of ending. Same with this show. Do you think maybe in your future that you end up being maybe the Bachelor or one of the Bachelorette contestants?
I don't know. That's I'm not really sure what to say to that. I'm only 21, so I like to think I got the better years are ahead of me here still, but I guess never say never, right?
Yeah, I don't think the better years, like, you can't get any worse than what you've done in the last 21, so it's only uphill from here, but I could see you being on there. Maybe you got the chops.
I got a lot of things that would suit that show.
Okay, so that's all we got for the Bachelor actual content, the actual show. Tyson, you're the last one to round out the show. You're the last person to sit in this spot with me. Like I said to Kurt, hip to hip, this last time we're going to be sitting on this couch. It's, the production qualities went way up, the contents went way up, the questions, the answers, it's all went way up in the past 2 years, and it's been a blast having you on here for the past 2 years. And is there anything that you're really going to miss, or that you've really enjoyed, or anything you really want to just say to the fans?
No, just thanks for viewing. It's been a lot of fun to be able to be a part of the show, being in the inaugural season last year, and now back for our final season this year. Unfortunately, it's just too short. If you give us another 5 or 6 years, you never really know where this show could take us, right? It could go a long way, and it's been a lot of fun.
We'd be on Ellen, probably.
Yeah, you know what? There's endless possibilities, so it's very disappointing that it's going to have to come to an end here, but I've enjoyed every minute of it.
It's kind of went from inaugural season to final season just like that. Not even anything in between. We went from start to finish just like that. And, it's tough. I've obviously put in some work doing the show too, and it's been a blast interviewing you guys. And you've kind of been one of the staple characters on the show, and it's awesome. What would you say your favorite thing about filming this is?
I think just hanging out with you, just getting to hang out, talk, some of the stuff you guys don't get to see, unfortunately, is some of the best content, but, we get to have a few good laughs and have a good time, so, you just really can't complain.
10, 15 years from now, we might be looking at the blooper videos of us kind of, some of the things we can't put on the show because it's just, it just can't go on the show, or some of the scares of people popping up behind the couch, those are the things that you guys don't get to see, and that's what makes this enjoyable. So, Colonel, it's been great having you on. I'm glad that it's very fitting that you got to end out the show. I'll give you the platform here to end it out. Last thing you want to say or anything?
Well, actually, Easton, we have a gift from you from producer Kim upstairs. She's just kind of the hidden gem behind this whole production, and you know what? She got you something.
Okay, so Kim, you got it on you. So Colonel's pulling something.
We know you're a beloved ping pong player.
Okay.
And producer Kim just wanted to share this special Beaverbrook paddle. It's emotional, okay?
Yeah.
This is the elusive Beaverbrook icon.
This is the Beaverbrook
and
paddle.
in order to remember Beaverbrook and our destination here for our show, we hope you'll accept this pledge of honor.
I will for sure accept this. Fans, I'll show you this paddle has been through some work. As you can see, the handle here is half missing. I don't know if you guys can tell, but this thing has been through it's been through a lot. I'm sure it's been through some smashes, it's been through some victories. Handle's just about to go, but this is something I'll remember, this show and this house, and especially Kim. I'll have to thank her when I'm leaving. Something I'll remember you guys by for sure, and the Bachelor show for sure. And Colonel, I appreciate this more than you know, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Easton. We appreciate you.
That's all we got, Colonel. Let's go one last handshake here to end it out.
I say we hug for the last one.
Let's hug it out, Colonel. It's been real. That's the last hug on the That's the first and last hug on the Bachelor show, probably. So, thank you guys for tuning in to episode 10 of season 2. Bachelor Mondays with the Steinbach Pistons is officially over. You guys will never see us on this couch. You'll never see the show unless you have another Pistons player in 5 to 10 years that also likes cameras. But thank you guys for tuning in for the past 2 years. It's been a blast. Thanks for all the engagement you guys have left and how much you've liked the show. And thank you guys for being such a great audience. And just thank you guys for everything in the city of Steinbach and the people at home that are watching. And we appreciate it. So peace out from me and Colonel and the Pistons.